This is Dr. Jaronski, welcoming you back to part three, the Adulting 101 series, Managing a Quarter Life Crisis in a Pandemic. As promised, right now we're going to talk about resources. So let's get to it as soon as my PowerPoint decides to cooperate. Part three, resources. Okay, so let's start with things that you could try on your own. I always like to start with sort of least invasive to maybe most invasive. So what are some things that you can do on your own in terms of managing a quarter life crisis? What are resources available to you? So this may be easier said than done, but I think it's really important to watch your social media consumption. Again, part of this quarter life crisis often has to do with those comparisons. We are looking at other people's social media output, and it is often about my life does not live up to that best life that gets put out there, which, by the way, is all the best stuff. Most people don't post what's not so great. But anyway, limiting your social media consumption and being careful about what sites or who you're following or what you're doing with the messages that they're being shared with you. Going back to our cute little slide with the squirrel, focusing on what you can control. And again, that means, what are you consuming? What are you letting in? So being intentional about focusing on the positives. And sometimes it needs to be intentional. It's not always automatic. So oftentimes we have to really ask ourselves, what's positive or what's going well in my life right now? Other things you can do are journaling. Again, taking off that positive perspective, doing a gratitude journal. Again, asking yourself intentionally, what is going well in my life? What am I grateful for? Forcing ourselves to think in that way is almost like retraining that muscle that may not get as much exercise as thinking about the negatives. That's really easy to do. If you do some journaling, sometimes I'll suggest to people using time limits, especially if you're using journaling as a venting tool. It can be really helpful, but oftentimes once you start to write down or generate those negative thoughts or vent those thoughts, it can take on a life of its own. So one of the ways to manage that can be to use your timer on your phone. Give yourself 10 or 15 minutes, and when the timer goes off, you put your pen down, you put your paper down, you stop typing, and that's a way to limit some of the things that you might stir up that aren't very helpful. If you're into writing, there's a great website out there. I've put the link on this slide that has some tools for expressive writing. This was created by James Pennebaker. He's done a lot of work on writing as a tool in terms of therapy. And so there are a lot of good exercises out there that you can try on this particular website. An additional thing that you can do is to create some structure in your life. When I think about all the things that are going on for all of us right now, all of the changes, the things that are not in our control, the way that we're needing to work and learn and interact is all very different than what it was 3 weeks ago. And so it could be really important to create some structure, set up a planner, use meetings and deadlines as ways to keep yourselves on track. Yesterday I was listening to a webinar that students from across the country were putting on in terms of how they've been dealing with studying from home, being in this pandemic. And absolutely some of the common themes that these students were sharing was that need to create some structure. Several of them were saying they used apps on their phone or timers on their phone to keep them on target. That's okay to do. That could be really helpful. So some of the things that you can try on your own. And I'm guessing you can create some more ideas. Love to hear them. Okay, now in terms of campus resources, what do we have potentially available for you? So because one of the pieces of quarter life crisis is absolutely about career, job, and potential dissatisfaction, I've included the Career Resource Center as a list here. They're still open, they're still available. Just like the rest of us, they're working remotely, but they can help you with resume, with interviewing skills. They're still posting things to Handshake in terms of jobs to apply for. So your career resource staff is really an untapped resource for a lot of people. Additionally, we're still here at Student Counseling Services. Again, we're operating remotely. We are more than happy to talk to you on the phone. We will set up an appointment with you just like we used to when we would do it in person, but we'll conduct that meeting via phone at this point. We're available for consultation. If you have questions or concerns, you're not really sure if counseling might be right for you or if you need counseling, we're also we're also willing to talk you through that. Also, student activities. So, if depending on where you're at in your academic career, if you are needing to get connected, if you're wanting to try out new things, if you need to expand your social circle, our student activities and below that, our student organizations are fabulous places for you to find out about yourself, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, what your growth edges are, what you might want to do with your world and your life, both in college as well as beyond. So those are great resources for you on campus. Finally, when I think about community resources, I wanted to think really broadly. Again, if I'm framing this in terms of if you are at a point in that kind of crossroads or that quarter life crisis, who am I? What is the meaning in my life? What value do I give? What is exciting to me in the world? And if you're finding yourself stagnated or stuck with that, looking at volunteering could be a way to give back. It could be a way for you to learn new experiences or skills, to meet new people or be exposed to new ideas. Basically, to find your place. I didn't put specific resources or agencies because I think there are a lot of them around our community or in your communities where you could volunteer, where you could learn some things. Finally, thinking about research in terms of what's out there in the community. And I just put some things on here that could be helpful for you. Again, if you're needing to learn about yourself, to learn about the world, to learn about the world of work or what's available to you, looking at our Mahoning County Library. Again, lots of resources online, so even though you can't go and physically check out a book, you can still access that. Same with our Mog Library. Again, thinking about the world of work, maybe you don't even know what's available to you. There are some great resources out there where you can do some of that exploration online. So we put those websites there. Our 1T Center and the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually has a lot of resources out there on the world of work. So there's lots of things. Now might be a great time to explore yourself and the world a little bit more. All right, if we were in person, what I'd be doing is asking you for questions at this point. Since we're not, feel free to reach out to us at Student Counseling. More than happy to have a conversation with you. If there's some additional information I can give you, or asking you some questions or providing you some answers might be helpful, please feel free to do that. And I wish you well, and everybody stay healthy.